your life. Now we continue our coverage of protecting our schools, our colleges, and America's children. President Trump's Department of Education recently issued a rewrite of Biden's Title IX madness, making it clear that in K-12 schools and higher learning institutions, that Title IX protects will be recognized on the basis of biological sex and not gender identity. And it's just one of many ways that the Trump administration is taking steps to solidify the credibility and success for students of all ages. Joining me now, reporter at the Daily Signal and host of the Daily Signal podcast, Elizabeth Mitchell. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks, Kimberly. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, we have a lot to cover. So many different news stories every day happening fast and furious pace. Let's talk about yesterday's executive order. It was a major win for female athletes and families. What impact will it have, in your opinion, in school districts across America?
It already has had a huge impact. Just a few hours ago, we saw the head of the NCAA said that people are not going to be allowed to play in sports based off of the gender they say they are, they feel they are. People are going to be participating in sports based on their, what he called, assigned sex at birth, which we know, of course, is just biological sex, whether you're male or female. So exactly. This is already a huge step in making sure that men are not playing women's sports. And I think that there's really a goal that the NCAA has to have kind of uniform standards across the states. And this executive order really sets a standard that will hopefully apply to every school district in America, that boys should not be playing girls' sports.
Well, the Trump administration is also rolling back Biden's Title IX rewrite, which actually undermined the purpose of the law in the first place, quite frankly. What's the impact, and why are Democrats so eager to undermine its true purpose?
The Biden administration did a rewrite of Title IX to make sex mean gender identity as well. So Title IX prohibits sex discrimination, and the Biden rewrite included discrimination based on gender identity in this term. And Trump, of course, quickly upon taking office, got rid of this, said that sex means sex, and that what Title IX does is it protects women in women's sports. It doesn't protect people who think they're women. It just protects women in their ability to have their own separate spaces, as is required for them to be safe, and their own sports, which is required for fairness and for safety as well, because we know that men and women are different, and the Biden administration, of course, did not recognize that. But it's great to see that really on day one, this is something the Trump administration is returning to America.
Well, you also had a recent piece about our universities, specifically just how much money they're taking from adversaries like China. What is the extent of that, and how are House Republicans responding?
Representative Burgess Owens introduced a bill yesterday to make sure that universities who have a certain sized endowment cannot be investing in foreign adversaries. A good example of a way that this has been a problem in the past is that Harvard University had an investment in China and was considering reducing that for national security reasons. And so we know that this is happening, and we don't have a lot of information on it because private colleges are not required to share that information. And so I think it's really great that this bill is a step towards transparency in this area, and is also a defense of national security, that American universities and students should not be influenced by foreign adversaries like China and Russia.
Okay, and what's the larger theme and mosaic as it relates to the Trump administration's education agenda?
I think that Trump administration's education agenda really prioritizes students, parents, and families, and we don't want foreign countries influencing American education. That's an issue we've seen in K through 12 as well, where China's involved in curriculum for kids and various things. And I think that we've seen a number of education-related executive order. We just talked about the women's sports executive order, making sure that school sports are safe and fair for girls. We've also seen executive orders getting rid of gender ideology in K through 12 schools and getting rid of anti-Semitism in education. So I think this is just another step along this Trump agenda, like you said, for education, and making sure that parents are driving their kids' education and not the government or foreign countries.
And where do Democrats stand on this? Why are they so opposed?
I don't know why they'd be opposed to this. I think this seems like it has the opportunity to be a pretty bipartisan bill, making sure that universities don't have investments in foreign countries. It seems like a really common sense move to make sure that students are not being indoctrinated at a time when they're extremely impressionable by foreign adversaries.
Yeah, it's. I think it is really a questionable and interesting, time. We need to make sure to keep a close eye on this. What would you like to see happen next?
I think that we've been talking about what is going on in education. What I would like to see next is I think Trump is expected soon to issue an executive order that is going to lower the reach of the Department of Education. We know that the Department of Education has been involved in some really nefarious things over the past 4 years, pushing gender ideology on kids, undermining the rights of parents, and a lot of taxpayer dollars is going towards the Department of Education when really education is more of a state-based issue. And so I think the next thing I would really like to see from President Trump is limiting the Department of Education.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm for that. And so much of this implicates legacy media. The coverage at time has been quite egregious. What have you seen and what's driving the Daily Signal's, editorial coverage?
I think that the Daily Signal has a great opportunity that legacy media is really missing to just tell the truth about what's going on. I think it was really noticeable to me in the coverage legacy media had of that executive order yesterday on women's sports. They're, of course, saying that this is another anti-trans move by Trump. They're saying that he's banning trans women from women's sports. And I think that's a great opportunity for conservative media to really tell it like it is. No, he's banning men from women's sports, and we don't need to lie in order to cater to the needs of the wants of different people.
It's pretty incredible. But are you overall like very satisfied? Kind of with the pace and the programs, the legislation, everything that he's putting forward in executive orders, rather that the president has prioritized.
Yeah, I think, of course, there's a lot that needs to be undone from the Biden-Harris
It's
administration,
true.
and he has been really moving quickly on doing that, defining male and female on day one, pardoning the January Sixers, pardoning the pro-lifers who were targeted by the Biden DOJ very quickly. It seems like every day we have another huge executive order that is really what American families needed after 4 years of past administration. So I'm pretty happy with the pace.
And we've also seen a stark, cultural shift towards the side of President Trump. It's been pretty incredible to witness. And what do you think? What's next? And do you think that will continue this cultural shift?
Definitely. I think we've seen the social media giants, the tech people, they're already adopting President Trump's views. We're seeing major corporations cut their DEI offices. We're, like we said, seeing the NCAA making sure that men can't compete in women's sports. So we're seeing the institutions go ahead and jump on to the Trump agenda.
Yeah.
And so it seems like the tide has really turned in America and things feel different for sure.
Fantastic. Let's see what's next. Daily Signal reporter Elizabeth Mitchell, thank you so much.
Thanks.